You're now tuned into the hottest podcast in the world, the Stay Woke Podcast, right here on the SonicBreakdown.com.
Welcome back to another Stay Woke podcast. This is presented by the SonicBreakdown.com. Of course, you know, you got your boy, host, DeRa Brinson, and then we got your co-host, producer, or slash producer, I should say, you know, William West.
Thank you for having me. I'm here with my Capri Sun. Thank you for my Capri Sun right here. Bottle service on deck. Yeah.
And we also got Effin Mattie coming in on the Stay Woke podcast.
It's Capri Suns and Pinot Noir all night.
So thank you again for coming and rocking with us and checking out our other podcasts. If you haven't listened, subscribe, like. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, Podomatic, as well as Stitcher. Today's podcast, or today's episode, is going to be covering J. Cole's new album, For Your Eyez Only, which was released today, which is December 9th. Prior to recording this podcast, we listened to the album a couple of times here, having a J. Cole listening party, in essence. So let's start off. What's your first impressions on it, Will?
First impressions off the gate, it's a whole new vibe and a whole new feel for J. Cole.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that I was hoping for something that was the same as like a combination of his old last albums. His last album in particular, Forest Hill Drive. I love that album.
It's a great album.
That shit brought it back for me. Like, I love that album. That album is top of the line right there. But still, overall, a great classic J. Cole album. And then we can break down each track if you want to, but overall, I was expecting something else, but still got something that's new and high quality. J. Cole quality.
Okay. Yeah, well, let's just give our first impressions, and then we'll get more detail going through probably track through track and breaking it down a little bit deeper. So, Effin Mattie, what was your first impressions overall when you first heard the album?
Well, let me say, we were watching that Ab Soul interview earlier on, was it The Breakfast Club, right? Is what he said. These artists, you know, the true artists, you know, they try to challenge themselves, and that's you know, coming with a different approach, a different perspective, a different sound, whatever, you know, that's what challenging yourself is, you know. Some artists, you know, they're comfortable with, you know, staying in their lane and, you know, this is what worked last time, so I'm going to keep going with the same type of direction. But, you know, the real true artists, you know, I feel as though, and the ones that are forever evolving, they never go back to the drawing board. They always push forward, and that's, I think, what J. Cole did right here. It's like a lot of maturity, like just shit has gone down in his life, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can just tell, and inside and outside of, you know, his world, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's what I got from it.
Okay, I feel that. What I took from it on my initial impressions, because I heard it last night when it dropped on the East Coast. I instantly went through it one time. Some people might have saw it on Facebook Live. My first impression was that it's very intimate. It's a very intimate and personal album, where 2014 Forest Hill Drive felt personal, but it felt personal, but in a more like associate level. Like, you're friendly, but it's not like, this feels like we family now. Like he really let us in and
more
really,
detail.
Yeah, more detail into his life versus more
personal.
More like Wet Dreams is a personal kind of story of, you know, virginity loss, but it can be also more generalized of just that emotion that everybody feels, where this feels very like personal. Like, this is not just a story that we can all relate to, but his story of how he's feeling. That was my first impressions of it. I want to go and let's go through track to track real quick of what we think. Let's start with, of course, the first track, For Whom the Bell Tolls. I thought that was the production on there is fire. First of all, it hits you hard early. with the tone of the album, that same tone carried out throughout. Even though the production is very diverse, but that tone is consistent to me.
Yeah, it is. You can tell that it's consistent. Different sounds, different vibes, different melodies, but it has that tone that is consistent throughout from beginning to end, for sure.
So what did you think about the first track, For Whom the Bell Tolls? Just not, you ain't got to go into details about the lyrics or nothing like that, but just the vibe that you got off it from the start.
We talked about it on the about Drake and the Views album, right? How it kind of like there's a tone that it sets, and maybe you not want to go with that first track on how Drake picked that first track to set the tone. It was kind of weak. It wasn't like, it was just moody, whatever it may be.
Are you talking about
the first track
9 on Views?
Whatever
the first track was 9. Okay. That's your. I kind of like that track, but okay. Never mind. Fuck your perspective right now, okay? I don't care. All right.
I mean, I like this first track on J. Cole's album, though.
Yeah. No, but what I'm trying to get to is that on the Drake album, on the J. Cole album, it's the right tone. It's the right track.
Okay, I get you. You're saying that using that as the juxtaposition between the two.
Like it's the right way to begin a track, begin an album.
No, and actually, no,
to hook me in.
And the first track is not 9. It's Keep the Family Close.
Yeah, it's a lot more moodier than 9.
I mean, we talking about the first track, or we talking about the intro? Like what are we really talking about? I thought 9 to me is the first track. Keep the Family Close.
I'm talking about track 1. I'm talking about.
I never considered that a track. Actually, that's like the intro to me. Okay.
That's why it missed you. That's the reason why it missed you.
Okay.
Because it's trash. No, just kidding.
Because it actually is a track. It's not a. It's not an intro. It's not an interlude. It's a track.
But, I like how this is. I like how his first track, and we're talking about the J. Cole album, the new J. Cole album. I like how the first track is a mixture of an intro and a track. Just because I asked you, is this an intro? Are we going through any skits, or is it just straight tracks? And it's straight track. It's 10 tracks, straight songs. Yeah, so I like that. I mean, it's good. It was programmed. I'm all about programming, and it's programmed correctly from 1 to 10.
What did you think about the first track, Matt? For Whom the Bells Tolls.
Like, just to piggyback, it kind of set the tone for how the album was gonna go. And you look track for track, it kind of like it was all tailored. It's based off the first track of the album. You know what I'm saying? It kind of like I said, set the tone of what you're gonna hear. Just the sound in general and just the mood, and this is the mood. This is what the hype that I'm on right now. I liked it.
So since I started the first track, you wanna, Effin, Mattie, you wanna start what you thought about Immortal, the second track, or you want Will to do it? You want to start that one? Go ahead.
Just based off of the the lyrics and the content, what I'm dealing with personally in my life right now, I think that track it was like right on time. You know what I'm saying? I really felt like, just like, personally what I'm going through in my life right now, I felt like, he's kind of like talking to me, and that's what good artists do. That's what good artists do. They connect to their listeners, to like, man, like are you speaking to me? Like that's what I felt like, you know what I'm saying? Like with Immortal.
See, for me, and that's the great thing about music is you take music differently because of what you're feeling, what you're dealing with, and how your whatever emotions you're dealing with at the time. Where for me on Immortals, when I heard it as, and I took it as the sign of like real, when he's saying real niggas don't die, of like when you think about like the people in hip hop that have passed, but we still talking about them, they're still relevant today. Pac, Biggie, Pun, you know what I'm saying? For me, Prince, like, even Prince is, just very recently, but like if you think about in an account like Pac, Nate Dogg, in other genres for me, like Marvin Gaye, like Marvin Gaye's been dead for years and years. You know what I'm saying? And he's still a legend. He's still known. He's still because in essence, he's immortal because of his music. Like what's going on? Like I talked to a teenager the other day about Marvin Gaye, what's going on, and he was talking about how it helped him get through like depression. You know what I'm saying? It's like Marvin Gaye changing people's lives, and he's been gone. So like that idea of being immortal and that aspect of just like your music is always going to carry on. And kind of like this is something that J. Cole kind of touched on in the end of Forest Hills, 2000 Forest Hill Drive. Damn, I can't say this title for some reason. But in that, at the end of that, remember he's like, he's just naming out people. And he's like, you going to live forever because you on the track. Like, you know, like basically that concept of living forever through your music because it having that influence and that sustainability. So that's what I took from it.
That's what I embody in life. Like, aside from doing normal shit every day,
Affecting people.
the reason why I got into music and I evolved into music is because the exact thing is that it makes you immortal. If I'm dead and gone, I can still be Googled, or somebody has one of my old mixes or an old track or even an old rap track back when I used to rap in high school, like, is forever in the history books. Aside from being, you know, proud of a project being put out there and being, you know, putting another notch under my belt, but that's the overall goal, is to be immortal. And J. Cole talked about that in his non-album track, False Prophets.
Mm-hmm.
Same type of thing.
The same concept, yeah.
Same concept. You know, just to be on that pedestal of being respected and looked at for. You know what I mean? Looked up to when it comes to that project, when it comes to those vocals, when it comes to those bars, when it comes to those quotes. I'm always looking for those quotes.
Yeah.
And
that stick with you.
Yeah. And for them to forever be in the memory. Something to talk about every day.
Yeah, I mean, so, like, that was a very interesting track to me. Let's move on to the next track, which would be Deja Vu, which comes after Immortal. It instantly has that exchange from Bryson Tiller, which also was taken from
My Boo.
Thank you, Will, for that. You know, DJ Will always gotta have that.
That's
those
the classic. What, 5th, 6th grade?
Exactly, feeling on them booties.
That was the song. The last night of the last song of the night.
Yeah, that's right. Wrap up, get them numbers, boys. That's the time you do it on this song. But so you have that familiarity with that sound. Even though there's kind of a Twitter war with the producers of Bryson Tiller's track and Deja Vu, because apparently this beat was made prior to Exchange, and then Foreign Exchange, or Foreign Track rather, heard it and somewhat copied it and made Exchange. Go ahead.
So you're saying Bryson Tiller, he took this beat, but he came out with it first.
Yes.
But J. Cole had it tucked. That's what you're saying?
According to the producers, but it had nothing to do with the artist. Bryson Tiller had nothing to do with it. It's the producer came, like, basically these two producers knew. Vinny is one of the producers, and I think is Boy the One, or I forgot. I gotta look it up. But anyways, those two producers for J. Cole made the beat. Foreign Track heard it, in essence, copied it, and put it out and gave it to Bryson Tiller. Bryson Tiller then came out and made Exchange. Then we're now getting Deja Vu, even though it was made for Cole prior to Exchange being released.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And so it really has nothing to do with the artist. So Cole had nothing to do with that shit. Bryson Tiller had nothing to do with that shit. And I ain't make none of the beats, so I don't know. But that's the word that
Bryson
according
did
to
it.
Twitter.
Bryson did it better. I'm just gonna put that out there.
What?
Bryson put it out there.
Hey, this is the same exact. It is the same. I'm really paying attention now. It really is the same shit, huh?
No, there's more.
The drum patterns are different.
But it's the same shit though. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but the drum patterns are different, like Will said. But anyways, beyond that, the thing that I like this to me track is like in the pocket like groove track. Like I like the way it hits, and I like the feel of it, and it does match the tone of the continued album, and it does have an interesting message. But of course, we got to break down the lyrics more after we got to hear it a lot more before we
It's
really
brand
break
new.
down. This is really new. We need time to digest and live with it. Let it sit with us. But it has a good feel and it has a good vibe that I can rock with. Especially, definitely, I can ride in the whip to this.
Oh yeah,
So, what you think about Deja Vu?
Deja Vu is Deja Vu. It kind of it messes up the vibe because I'm thinking about Bryson Tiller's album, and that's a classic album.
So it's a distraction in essence.
It's a distraction.
Yeah, and
because,
that album did go.
yeah, and now it's just kind of repetitive because I play that song out when it was brand new, and I still play it to this day. But
Me too.
I like Bryson's exchange. But getting back to J. Cole, yeah, he killed it. I mean, he did his thing on it. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's whack, and I'm not hating on it. It just messes with me because it's something that's already been done, and then it's being done again. So that feel or that I'm trying to connect to it without having Bryson's version in my head, and it's tough. But tip my hat to him.
Hey, but riddle me this: if this came out first, which one would you like? That's what I'm saying.
Oh, Cole first.
So whichever one came out first, you was gonna like.
No,
first, you was gonna like more.
No, it would be because it's J. Cole brought it out first,
Yeah.
not just because it was heard first.
Okay. It was heard first, but he did bring it out. J. Cole did bring it out first. That's what we trying to.
Well, he made it.
He made the beat, or his producer made the beat. His producer made it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're trying to.
I mean, I get where you're coming from because the same thing with when I first heard it, I was like, ooh, exchange. Like, because I do sit with that album. I like that album from Bryson Tiller. I think it's a really good album. I think it's well done. So it does sit with you. But for me, the fact that the drum pattern is slightly different, it gives it a slightly different feel. Like Bryson Tiller's drum pattern and the way that he's singing over it makes it feel more sexual, where Deja Vu in this one feels a little bit more gritty, but still smooth. Even though that's kind of contradicting each other, but it still has that quality for me, and so that's why I can, I guess, compartmentalize it and separate it between the two. But let's get to Ville Mentality. Ville Mentality, to me, it has a very country vibe to, like not a country vibe to it, but a southern quality, I should say. That's a better way to put it. That I guess to me you can feel the North Carolina his roots, as well as, to me, I took it as like being stuck in the box, of like having those impressions of like these are the walls you can only escape from because of your environment, your conditions, your surroundings, your just ability to a certain extent. And it reminds me also of in the documentary that was on Tidal, where they're talking about the different styles of music, and he goes, that's whack that like everything has a name, you know what I'm saying? Like everything for music basically can be defined in a term. And like you're kind of stuck in that box, and that's what like that this song kind of reminded me of that scene in that documentary of being stuck in a box and being stuck in that hood mentality or impoverished mentality, and that you can't grow beyond that. What did y'all take away from it?
Ditto. The album is fresh. I haven't, you know what I'm saying? Like you know, I haven't. The album's real fresh. I can't, you know.
We haven't digested it yet.
Yeah, exactly.
We haven't taken it in. It's brand new, like starting right now.
How many times you listen to it?
Like 10 times.
No, like really like 5 or 6. Like I listened to it like 2 times before y'all, and 2 or 3 times before y'all, and then we listened to it now a couple of times. But I mean, like I still haven't digested it. I haven't sit with it and really broken down the lyrics. But the next track that is that we'll probably go through quickly because it is gonna take some time to digest is "She's Mine" Part 1, which is about, from my understanding, is about his wife. And so, like, the things that stuck out to me is there's a part in this track where he talks about how good his wife is with fellatio, and I just thought it was so honest. And maybe too honest. Like, I don't know if I would say that about my wife, but I mean, he has the boldness and the willingness to say it, and to just like the fact that he's like putting it kind of like bearing his soul, how much he loves her and cares about her. I thought was endearing, and we should all try to get to that point and be comfortable enough to be able to do that. So that's what I took from it. What you say about that track? It was probably a slower track for you. That
just the title, you know, it's pretty intimate. So wasn't really too surprised with especially coming from J. Cole. You know him getting real deep into details and things like that. You know, he did that on his last album. He did that on his last album. You know, he did it on the album before that. So I mean, I don't think, you know, that wasn't really a shock to me. But yeah, it's just real intimate, you know.
I didn't catch all that actually. Like I didn't even know he was talking about fellatio. I didn't talk about his girl.
he doesn't talk about the whole song. He just has a line where he says,
Yeah, I mean he mentioned it.
Yeah, he mentioned it, but
I missed it.
But like the whole track is about his wife, like, and how much he loves her, how much he cares about her, and how much like she understands him, and like that he's fallen in love, basically, like he says, and he really understands it. Like that's why he knows it's love, because he really understands that it is love, and it's not. It's about the other things besides just the sex. About, you know, that.
And let's take it back, because J. Cole is known to be a real private person.
That's what I mean. That's why I said it was
it's just out of nowhere. Like, why now? Like in my head, I'm like, why now? But if you go back into all of his tracks, he keeps all of that type of stuff taboo. Like, he doesn't talk about it. He keeps it in the cuts. He's talking about other stuff. Like, it's just his mentality when it comes to like personal stuff and family and relationship. If somebody asks him in an interview if he's in a relationship, he curves it or he just says, "Nah, I'm good." Yeah. But you know, it's like I said, like it's a new J. Cole. It's a new vibe where it's totally different. It's the right hand where we're getting this side of him, and he's talking about it, and he's opening up.
But the one thing I do want to piggyback off of that is, even though he is giving you information about his personal life, he's also still keeping himself somewhat guarded, because we're not seeing her, we're not seeing pictures of them, stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's talking about it and he's letting us into his world, but he's also keeping you at, you know, he's kind of giving us a stiff arm as well, because like
at a certain distance.
Yeah, put him in comparison to like Kim and Kanye. Like, we see them, like, we know everything about, and the same thing with Jay-Z and Beyonce. Like, we know a lot about them, but we like. You know, but we still don't know. Like, to me, he's taking more of that Jay-Z approach. Like, I'm going to let you in because people do need to relate to you and understand your life and your struggles if you're going to talk about it. But I'm going to keep you to a distance to a certain degree because I do need my privacy. Having that balance.
We all do. He's a teacher. To me, he's a teacher. Go ahead.
Yeah, just like what you guys said, pretty much. Taking the Jay-Z approach, kind of, you know, Jay-Z ain't never been on cribs, you know what I'm saying, like, and that's like, that means something, you know what I'm saying, it's pretty intimate, you know what I'm saying, like, you don't want everybody knowing everything that's you know, knowing your whole lifestyle and how you live and everything like that. So that's what J. Cole take, you know, that's what approach he takes, and especially him, like, just in general, how he dropped his albums, just like it's out there, no promotion, no nothing. That's just a bold, take it.
And so, like, after that one, it goes to Change. And Change, to me, has, like, one of the most infectious beats of the whole album. It's just that it just, you get, like, a euphoric feeling, like, it's uplifting in the feeling of the production. Not necessarily what he's saying, because he does say some real shit in there. And there is a message, and it is deeper than just the surface level stuff of just putting in work and making things change within yourself. He goes into more details about that and how you do that in ways and examples. In essence, the kind of way that I interpreted that track was, if you ever read the book 48 Laws of Power, where the way that they got it like laid out is where they tell you what the law is, and then they give you an example. He's kind of doing that on this track to me, is like telling you, like, the changes in the inside and the chorus, but then within the verses, he's going into the examples of how you do that and how if you don't do it, it doesn't work.
Just what the chorus says, change comes from inside. That's pretty much all it is.
You don't have to just talk about how you interpret it, but just the sound and the feel of this track.
That's what the fuck I wanted to say. Who you trying to come in here and regulate on what I want to say? That's what I wanted to say about the track. Is that okay?
We'll leave it at that. The man has spoken.
What did you think about Change?
Well, it is the first one. It is the first track that catches my vibe. What I want to hear from J. Cole. We all have our ears, and we're tuned in to certain frequencies and tones. This is the song out of all the tracks, out of the whole album, that speaks to me, and I'm actually listening to it from the get-go, from the first second of it. It's got that bounce. It's got that hip hop, R&B / real storytelling hip hop feel to it. Right now it's my favorite track out of the whole album. So it's the first one that just spoke to me, and I'm riding with it. And that's definitely one that you can just play back and you can keep pressing rewind on this one for sure.
Yeah,
it's the one.
That's how I felt when I first heard it as well. It just, like you said, it has that feel. It just has that, like you said, that nostalgic but new feel that just gives you the essence of hip hop. For me. The next track is Neighbors. I really like Neighbors as well. The beat is trappish, hard. Definitely can ride in the whip to it. And I just like how it was playing off the idea of stereotypes of, and like I said, it also brought me for this album, or this track brought me to that scene in the documentary when they're describing that the kid that ate the people's face in Florida, the couple, and how he was saying he would wish that everybody would fear on the side that they did about that guy of, like, he just messed up. Like, instead of thinking negatively, the negative stereotype or the negative connotation about somebody or about something or a scenario, try to have a positive, like, view on it. Like in this track when he says the neighbors think I'm selling dope, like, they think is the key in that sentence to me, is because they're not. It's just that idea that, black people or people of color or people in the hood or people in poor situations are doing some wrong, and that's not always the case. But I did like the track though.
It's like a you guys the labeling theory. It's pretty much I guess the neighbors think I'm selling dope, you know what I'm saying, even though I'm this. It's kind of like, and this is true shit for, for all kind of like juveniles, like teenagers and stuff around the country, around the world. If you think I'm doing something and you're blaming me for this, and you're blaming me for that, and you're looking at me in a certain type of way, and you know, depicting me, a certain type of, as a certain type of person, you know, I might as well start doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a pretty deep track. You know, you look at it, you know, it's like the neighbors think I'm selling dope, but I'm not. You know, he just might be out here outside just chilling with his homies, or just like this is what you said. You know, what you said.
Like, yeah, why isn't he on the same level as his neighbors?
Yeah,
you know
something like that.
Why can't he just be seen as the neighbor?
Yeah, it's just like seeing somebody like in a light that, you know, it's just a stereotype pretty much.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the labeling theory. That's a real. That's
I like how the track was put together for sure to depict that for sure.
And then that track is followed up by folding clothes, which to me has like a David Ruffin like just like a swag. Like, I got this kind of like, man, but like a somewhat of a 70s vibe, like where like you just jumped out in your fly ass suit, nigga, like you feeling good, like, ooh, like you can't touch me, like that type of feel to it. That's just the way that he sings. It kind of rides over the track is like kind of like I said, like to me, like a David Ruffin, like if David Ruffin was a rapper.
Yeah.
Just that confidence.
Kind of what like Bruno Mars is hopping on to right now.
Yeah.
That vibe. That player shit.
Yeah.
That hop out your Cadillac, top down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
showing the taco meat.
Showing the taco meat, silk shirts, loafers. We don't rock sneakers, we rock loafers, no socks, boat shoes.
And a pimp cane.
Man, yeah, it's a good track.
Yeah.
I like it. It's a good track. And then as we were listening to it, you know, I'm throwing jokes as I usually do. And I'm like, damn, man, like with this track, I'm gonna go fold my I'm gonna go do my laundry, and
groove out though.
And that's gonna be my line. That's gonna be my pickup line when I hit on a girl.
You trying to fold some laundry?
I'm
fold some clothes?
Like I'll do your laundry, girl. That's that pimp talk.
Play a wheel over here.
Man.
Oh shit.
I'll do your laundry for you, girl. I cook good too.
But that it is a smooth track, and it gives another dynamic to the album. Change some of the dynamic. Like folding clothes also has that changing of dynamics as well. And then it kind of sets the scene for the next track, which is She's Mine Part 2. And that again gets real, intimate, and it shows J. Cole's vulnerability. Because She's Mine Part 2 is about his daughter that he just recently had. So again, it builds on that. And to me, that beat, like he uses her laughter and her talk and her making noises as part of a layer in the production. And that immediately reminded me of the Prince song Sex in the Summer, which is off of his Emancipation album, where he used the heartbeat from the ultrasound of his first child that I later found out was lost. Under what circumstances, I'm not quite sure. But that idea of incorporating your family life and so deeply and so intimately into the, not just as, you know, having a speaking part, but as a deep layer into the production, like interwoven into the production, which like to me is on a deeper, significant level of interweaving it into your life. Because as we know with these artists, music is their life. They devote their lives to this music, and to interweave her into it, just like he did with his wife.
Yep, 100%.
Speaks to the volume of how in touch he is with his relationship with them both, and how, like I said, the vulnerability he's willing to share with us, but again, still keep us at a distance. Because as far as I know, nobody knows the kid's name. Nobody's ever seen any pictures, like I said. So there's still that distance that he keeps with it. That just, again, my thoughts on it.
Nothing else more to say about it. Not on my end.
And so we'll end it with the last track, which is For Your Eyez Only, which is a pretty long track. Can you see how long that track is?
8:45.
8:40. So it is a long track, but again, to me, it doesn't feel as long as it is. Let y'all tell me what y'all thought about the last track. Go ahead, Effin, Mattie. What you think?
It's a good send off for it's a pretty balanced album. Didn't really have just putting the album in perspective and as a summary. Didn't really have too many hype tracks. Just real more lyrical and intimate. But yeah, this song like I guess like it keeps the whole from start to finish. It keeps the whole mood and just puts everything in perspective. It's a nice send off.
After listening to all these tracks right now, it's not a strong album. And you just said the key thing for me. Well, so far, and again, it's brand new. 20. What was it? Forest Hill Drive grew on me for a little bit. To Pimp a Butterfly grew on me. Like I had to listen to it a few more times to really say, you know what, this is actually pretty dope.
And I get that, and
right now it's still premature. Like
because there's a lot of people on the internet, they were saying like this album was trash. Like some people said J. Cole was trash based off this album. but to get to my point here is Mattie said it correctly, man. He just said it right now. There's not a lot of hype tracks that you can say like, "Ooh, that's the one right there." On Forest Hill Drive, the whole album it stands out because everything goes together. But I'm already seeing this early on though, because I can see that I can really say that I can see this really early on that the whole album isn't consistent as far as capturing my ear, my emotion, and getting me overall hyped. It is a different vibe. If you want to be hyped, if you want to be hyped by lyrics, if you want to be hyped out by the beat, tone, loudness, whatever it may be, this is not the track. This is not the album. This is not the album to do that for you. And I'm seeing it early where it's more of a listening album. It's more of if you got it in your headphones, you're going through your feels, you're going through some things in life, you're listening to it, and you really do capture it. And I love it for that, though. I love it for that fact. It's one of those things where there's a time and place for everything. And this album has a time and place where if you really want to kind of pay attention, sit in your room and fully listen to an album or cruise in your car for no reason and put an album on, this is the one.
And just, like you said, like this is grown up rap music. You know what I'm saying? That's like grown man
no
rap
dabbing.
Music. Yeah, like you know what I'm saying?
We're
like,
not dabbing.
Yeah, it's like what J. Cole's done with his last two projects, Kendrick Lamar, Chance the Rapper, who else? Give me somebody else that's, you know what I'm saying, that's in that
Vince Staples
with these kind of like I was about to say Childish Gambino as well.
Yep, on his latest
this
one.
is grown man shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like a huge. It's a huge. It's a huge. Even Drake, even his album, he's got a lot of hype tracks and all that. But when he's doing, Controller, listen to the dude's lyrics. Like, that's a dope ass song, but listen to what he's saying. You know what I'm saying? Listen to the lyrical part. You know what I'm saying? Well, but like what these dudes are doing, this is like. It's like grown man rapper, you know what I'm saying? Like listen to it, you know what I'm saying? You can learn something. They got the message,
message.
Yeah, they got the message, they're carrying the torch, what Jigga, Nas and 3 Stacks, Tribe, you know what I'm saying? What all those dudes were doing, you know what I'm saying? Like just that just real grown man shit, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You can't evolve unless you go through some shit and experience different things, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I think, like in general, what's going on right now.
Yeah, awesomely said.
I just want to touch on real quick the last track. For me, For Your Eyes Only is a more somber track, but it's more, to me, it speaks to, like, I tweeted that Nas and Rakim would be proud of this track just because the storytelling that's involved. The storytelling that's involved in this, I just feel like it's top notch. Is very well done. I do want to touch on what you guys were talking about. Is you're right. It doesn't. I didn't notice it until you, just like you, Will, until he brought it up that there is no really hype tracks. And if you think about it, this album is really about is a lot about life and death. Just in the content, it's about life and death and love. Those three concepts to me is For Whom the Bell Tolled. It's basically that's in essence like what you do at a funeral. Immortal is about surpassing death, living past the forever. She's Mine Part 1 and Part 2 is about love. Folding Clothes is about the love that of just doing things, normal life, the life of just the normal shit that we take for granted, like being able to fold clothes because you're fortunate enough, one, to have clothes, and two, fortunate enough to just to have the time and be able to do it. You know what I'm saying? Just the ability to actually do it. Like, we're fortunate. And he does have a lot of references to this person named James McMillan Jr. I don't know if it's a real person or not, but that's something that I caught. But so to me, like when you're talking about the dichotomy of life and death, and you're approaching it from the more grown up, realistic perspective, it's hard to have and fit hype tracks into that concept. So like, I get what you're saying, and that's why I get when people say they're not going to be able to ride with it, they're not going to be able to fuck with it because it doesn't fit into that area. But like you said, if you take it for the concept of what he's trying to accomplish and the tone, like we said, the first song, from that point, that tone is set, and it doesn't change. Which
not everybody can do that, and
exactly.
And if I go back in time with different albums that have been out, no one has done that. Like it's always like kind of a back and forth. It's kind of a you set the tone, but at the same time, you know what? I gotta get my money on or whatever it may be. Exactly. Pressure from the record labels. I gotta have that hype track. I gotta have that radio track, and then we come back to the tone, and then we get out of it, and then we come back to it. So this is consistent. And on how it's created. And that brought me back. I respect it.
Exactly. And that brought me back to what he was saying in the documentary about this album being, he's going to say the realest shit he wants to say. Like, this is what he wanted to say. And I definitely felt that is like, there's nothing about this story, this concept of this album that he wanted to say that he didn't get to say and didn't get to release. Like, this is the album that he wanted to release, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoyed it off top. But I tend to be more darker in the concept and the tones of the music I tend to like. That's just me. Like, that's why I have a harder time getting into Future and the Ray Shermer, like, because I'm more laid back in the cut kind of than hype. So, like, again, I think that also applies to my introvert, like, being in your head. This album is for those that are in their head because there's so much to take in, just sonically as well as his lyrical components into it, as well as the storytelling. So the introverts out there, this is an album that I think you really enjoy because there's a lot to think about. And
just know what it is. Just know what it is. From the first moment you press play, just know what it is and really pay attention to it. Yeah. It's a pay attention album. Like, you just sit down, shut up, and listen. Yeah. So that's our first impressions of the album. Is there anything else you want to say about it before I wrap it up, Effin, Mattie?
Nah, other than J. Cole, we won't hear from him for a couple more years because he could just ride this wave, just like he did last time.
He's good at doing that.
He did talk about possibly retiring in that Major Keys.
Nas has been doing that for a long time. So
on the Major Keys album with the Jermaine's interlude, that's the preview to this album. Like, it sounds just like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? He did come and go back and listen to that track, and you're like, damn, this is now. When I listened to the whole track, the whole album, I was like, damn.
It's just
this is like a preview.
It's the vibe that he's in.
Yeah,
that he
I got
has
a preview
been
earlier in the year. You know what I'm saying? Off from this album. So yeah.
Hey, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. Anything else you wanted to say to wrap it up, Will?
Nah, man. That's it. And that I love Capri Suns.
So I just want to say, again, we're all going to listen to the album, continue to listen to it, and let it grow on us, and our opinions about this might change. I am going to write a review. I plan to get it out as soon as I can. I'm back to writing the reviews. So I plan to do one on this one because I definitely think I'm going to have a lot to write about, especially the more I grow with it, based on just the introspection that I'm getting from it. I do want to say thank you to all the listeners out there. Please check our Patreon page. That's patreon.com/StayWokePodcast. And that's to help support us. We also have an Indiegogo page. And you can find us with that, Stay Woke Podcast, as well as like us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And, of course, you know our motto, live, listen to some great music, and above all, love more.